Trailblazers. I'm Linnea, and this is Girl Tales.
A kids podcast packed with girl power and stories where every child's voice matters. Grownups, Girl Tales is brought to you by families like yours. If you would like to hear your child's name at the top of our next episode, or if you would like me to wish them a happy birthday, head to patreon.com/girltales and join a team today.
Oh, and hey, do you love Girl Tales and making your own stories at home? Well, the Girl Tales Starter Pack is made just for you. It includes a vintage book of fairy tales, a Tailblazer pencil, a Girl Tales notebook, bookmark, and sticker. Everything you need to dream up your own magical adventures. Grown-ups can grab one now at girltalespodcast.com/shop.
Before we get started, I'd like to give credit where credit is due to a Tailblazer named Freyja who asked us this question. Does the Norse goddess Freyja live in freshwater? Well, we thought that was a really good question, so we decided to answer it with this story. Thanks, Freyja. Now, on to our episode. This is Freyja's Feathered Cloak. Enjoy! I'd like to tell you about a friend of mine. Her name is Freyja, which is spelled Freyja. Freyja really doesn't like it when people say or spell her name wrong, but she is a bit too shy to correct them. On the first day of school, teachers sometimes say Freyja, and Freyja feels too embarrassed to say anything, so the teachers keep saying her name wrong till someone else finally corrects them. Anyway, Freyja lives here in Freshwater, and she just graduated from Freshwater Middle School, and in the fall is moving up to high school. Middle school can be tough, especially for a super shy kid like Freyja. Kids tend to group up and stick with their friends, and quiet kids like Freyja, who are left on their own, sometimes feel forgotten and lonely. Well, the day of the middle school graduation arrived, and lots of Freyja's classmates were excited to graduate. The plan was that at the graduation ceremony, all the students would gather in the soccer field, and the 8th graders would walk one at a time across a long stage, shake the principal's hand, and take their diploma, which is a special rolled-up paper wrapped in a ribbon that says they've finished middle school. It has their name on it, and it's signed by the principal. After the diploma, they would pose for a picture, while all their classmates and all their classmates' parents and grandparents and all the teachers, janitors, administrators, coaches, and you get the idea. Everyone watches and claps. You might have guessed by now that since Freyja is shy, the graduation walk with everyone watching you was her idea of a terrible time. In the morning, Freyja's mom, Eartha, made pancakes with apple butter, but Freyja said she wasn't very hungry. Freyja, are you feeling a little nervous about graduation?
No, Mom, it's fine. I feel fine. I just am a little tired. I might take a nap.
Okay. Your dad and I are going to run to the store. Do you want to walk to the graduation ceremony with friends, or?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll see you there, Mom.
And Freyja hurried back up to her room. She jumped in bed and pulled the covers over her head. In her room, she could relax and be herself. Nobody was watching her and making her nervous. But then someone knocked on her door. Freyja, honey?
Yeah, Dad?
Freyja's dad had a big box in his arms. I brought some stuff Grandma sent from Norway. Freyja's dad was Norwegian, and her grandma still lived there. She mailed things to their family, like smoked fish, sweaters, and beautiful photos of her hometown on the coast. Freyja usually was super excited to get a box from her farmor. That's grandmother in Norwegian. But today she stayed under the covers. Are you feeling nervous about...
Just tired.
Okay, I'll leave this here then. And Freyja's dad left the box in her room and closed the door. Freyja peeked out from under the covers. She had a while before she had to get ready for graduation. She could take a peek at what her grandma sent. She hopped out of bed as she heard her parents leave for the store. The box was big and was covered in Norwegian writing. There were slashes through some of the O's and circles above some of the A's. She didn't speak Norwegian, but she loved to see the words written down. She felt connected to the language by her name and through her family. She imagined her farmor drinking kaffe. That's how you say coffee in Norwegian, and looking out at the sea. Freyja lifted the flaps of the cardboard box, and a puff of small feathers popped up out of the box, right in her face. As the feathers floated down to the floor, Freyja dared to peek into the box. Had her grandparents sent her an eagle or something? Dark brown, brick red, and russet orange feathers seemed to fill the whole box. They were carefully folded on top of each other. A small envelope was nestled among the feathers. She took it out. It had her name on it. Freyja opened the envelope and found 2 notes. One was short and in English. It read, "Dear little Freyja, I am sorry I cannot be at your graduation. This cloak is my gift to you. It belonged to all your grandmothers before you. Take care of it and use it for good things. Love, Farmor." Freyja thought it was a little warm for a cloak, but she tried it on anyway. She looked at herself in the mirror and laughed. I look like a big bird. Then she remembered the other note. She unfolded the paper and looked at the writing. It looked like Norwegian, but it was so faded. She traced her finger along the words, and they shimmered. What? The room started to glow, and the feathers on the cloak seemed to be wiggling. The feathered cloak suddenly got tighter around her, and before Freyja knew it, she was gliding through the air and out her bedroom door. Down the stairway and out the open kitchen window, Freyja soared into the sky.
Oh, help!
The cloak was taking Freyja on a wild sky ride, past the neighbors' houses and up toward Farmer McDonald's farm.
Hey, put me down!
The feathered cloak seemed to hear Freyja, and as the feathers tilted upward, Freyja pointed downward. Phew! But she was going too fast to land. Hey, up, back up! Again, the cloak shifted, climbing back into the sky just as Freyja's nose nearly touched the farm pond. That was close. Freyja felt like she was sort of getting used to flying. In the panic she felt when she first took off, she didn't stop to think about if people saw her. But now she wondered if the residents of Freshwater were going to notice her winging around. She hoped not. She didn't want people to think she was a weird flying person. I really have to get home, she said aloud, and the cloak seemed to hear. Slowly, she felt herself racing back toward her house. Now she had time to think about the fact that her farmor had sent her a flying cloak. And Farmor wrote that all her grandmothers once wore the cloak. Did that mean all her grandmothers were witches? Or superheroes? Did they have to keep the cloak a secret? Freyja had so many questions. The wind picked up, and Freyja had to narrow her eyes to keep out the dust. Storm clouds were gathering, and the sky was turning dark. Is this thing waterproof? She asked aloud, just as the first raindrops fell. Okay, I really have to get home quick. The wind got even wilder, and Freyja turned slightly, and the feathered cloak responded. They were working together now. It felt natural. I think I'm getting the hang of this. But just as Freyja's house came into view, the feathered cloak began to drift in a different direction. Toward Freshwater Middle School. Oh, no way. I am not going to graduation wearing a magical flying cloak. But the cloak seemed to be heading straight for the soccer field. As she got closer, Freyja saw her whole class and all their parents and grandparents, the teachers, janitors, administrators, and the principal up on the big stage, being buffeted back and forth by the wind. The storm came on so fast they didn't have time to move things indoors. And although the rain wasn't heavy, the wind was blowing hard. Her mom and dad were covering their faces, and the fancy cloth covering the stage was being pulled off. That's not good. The box of diplomas that the science teacher, Miss Daisy, was holding tipped over, and the 8th grade graduating class watched in horror as their diplomas flew off into the sky. I gotta do something, but everyone, and I mean everyone, will see me. Freyja looked down at her family and her classmates and the rest of her school and knew that she had to grab those diplomas and save the day. Even if they saw her and thought she was a weird flying person, she would get those diplomas and save 8th grade graduation. Let's go. Freyja soared upward, following the wind-swept diplomas. She managed to nab a handful out of the air, but realized she would need more than just her hands to get them all. Here, Freyja! Miss Daisy held up the box to her, and Freyja dove, swooped, and grabbed it. She thought she heard people whooping, but were they making fun of her? She wasn't sure, and she didn't have time to worry about it. She flew off in her feathered cloak. She felt like she was riding the wind. Gotcha! Freyja swooped and soared and spun and hovered, pulling each and every diploma back into the box. When she was sure she had every one, she dipped toward the soccer field and landed gently on the stage. The wind was still strong, but the storm clouds were passing. Still, everyone was ushered inside the auditorium. As the other middle schoolers passed Freyja, they looked at her. A few of them said thank you, and a few nodded. A lot of them looked at her wide-eyed. Her mom and dad hurried to her. Young lady, what? How? Honey, I think I can explain. Mom, this is Farmore's feathered cloak, which she gave to me. And, it can fly? And thank goodness for you and your cloak, Miss Daisy said quickly, ushering them all into the school. Freyja wondered if she was going to be grounded, but before she could ask, they were whisked into the auditorium, where everyone was standing and clapping. Ah, here she is now, Freyja, who saved 8th grade graduation day, the principal announced. Freyja felt her face turn pink. Everyone was looking at her. She tried pulling the feathered cloak in front of her face, but the cloak shrunk back, the feathers tucked in behind her back. Was her cloak shy too? Well, everyone saw me and they're clapping, so I guess they don't think I'm a weird flying person. Go on up, get your diploma, Freyja. And as her classmates, fellow middle schoolers, their parents, grandparents, teachers, janitors, administrators, and everyone cheered, Freyja walked the long walk up to the stage, crossed to the principal, and took her diploma. She unrolled it and saw her name written down. Freyja. Her name, which connected her to her ancestors and to the magic of this feathered cloak. She decided from then on, she would always make sure people said her name right. Freyja posed for her graduation picture, while the middle school cheered. She told me later that graduation day was all a blur now, but she showed me the picture of her in her feathered cloak, holding her diploma. And in the picture, she's smiling. That was Freyja's Feathered Cloak, written and produced by Tessa Flannery, with help from the Girl Tales Club team members. Performed and executive produced by Rebecca Cunningham. Grownups, thanks for listening to Girl Tales with your Tailblazers. Before you go, here are some questions to help keep the conversation going with your child. What part of today's story did you enjoy the most, and why? Did you connect with a character in this story? Did you learn something new? How did you feel about this story? Did it remind you of something in your own life? We hope this sparks some fun and meaningful conversations. Girl Tales is a Cordelia Studios production. Grownups, you can get access to ad-free episodes of Girl Tales, as well as a range of other shows for the kids in your life by subscribing to Starglow Plus on Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to hear me narrate the original stories of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, or Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, head to patreon.com/girltales and join Team Sunnybrook or above. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, if you loved this story, share it with a friend. Oh, and remember, I believe in you.
There's a hill and a road and a path where I know you must go. Through the sun, wind, rain, or snow. But wherever you venture, you can always come home. 'Cause I trust your heart, I trust my heart, and I trust your mind, I trust my mind, and I trust the friends, I trust the friends. I know you will find o'er the hill and on the road. So off you